So first thing first, most important thing which I called out is check-in. I somehow like the uh, the OneNote, and I like to do sessions through OneNote. First thing first, event check-in. Just go to that link and just type in your event ID. You will be able to get all the content which is relevant to this specific talk, and we will definitely make sure that we have added all the content there. So you just go there and pick it up. Tweet about today's event for sure. There is Azure Happy Hour tag, and you can add MSFT Reactor as a handle and stuff like that. Join in our LinkedIn group, please do. And for all the videos, this particular session is recorded now. And if you are looking for this video again, just go back to the YouTube channel, which has been listed here, and definitely go to that link and get those all the videos which we have covered in previous sessions. Definitely you'll be able to access all those things. And there is next event which is happening, which is Docker in 120 minutes, which is next Friday, which is the continuation of this series. And I just want to get started with this particular series. Before I deep dive into the series, I just want to introduce myself. Some of the people who have joined in for the first time. I run this Azure Happy Hour almost every Friday at Reactor, and it's not always you will see me. It's There are amazing set of speakers who come in, community leaders, other cloud advocates like me who deliver talks here and in conversations with me. And just to give a background, you know, uh, 15 years back, I started my software developer role with IBM, India Software Labs, more of hands-on developer building products in terms of Python, Java, Perl, whatnot, PHP as well. By the end of my tenure at IBM, which is around 9 years, I was part of IBM. So end of that tenure, I had a lot of passion. I was doing a lot of work with respect to DevOps, and especially in cloud and CI. So I had developed a lot of passion towards it, and then I joined HCL as a DevOps solution architect, and I traveled to Australia building the solutioning for one of the big clients, enterprise client, and I built an end-to-end DevOps solution there. And then I came back to India and joined a startup, Blackbird, um, joined them as head of DevOps, making sure that building the team, building the DevOps itself for them, from an agile DevOps itself for them. And then, it's a startup, right? So it's very difficult. And then I had my own startup and was part of DigitalOcean as a developer advocate and at Microsoft senior cloud advocate. While I was at DigitalOcean, I spoke to a lot of startups. I helped a lot of startups in terms of architectures and helping them in terms of building the right set of DevOps strategies and other things. So I work with customers of DigitalOcean. So given that background, right? So background to the series, DevOps series, which I've planned. I do a lot of Azure Happy Hours at the Reactor. I do a couple of other sessions, the workshops, which is happening on Saturdays at the Reactor itself. Tomorrow also we have a workshop at the Reactor, which is 3 hours workshop on big data visualization and other things. While we do those kind of activities, I often get questions from the community is what is DevOps? I want to understand DevOps. I want to get into DevOps and how to get into DevOps. And there are many questions which comes from the community. So I thought, okay, let's build a curriculum around DevOps for all, specifically from a Kubernetes world, because I'm thinking futuristic, not to do a DevOps for a, there is no point in doing a DevOps for a, monolithic architectures and where there is no Kubernetes and other things. So instead, why can't we do a DevOps workflow specifically for Kubernetes, and making sure that it is how to set it up in production. It's not like we'll go and learn bits and pieces and just go off from this session, right? So I want to make sure that the community is learning with me. The end-to-end learning is happening, and that is the main goal of this series. And if you see this workflow, this is an example workflow of DevOps, specifically from a Kubernetes perspective. And I'm going to cover all of these in depth in next 8 sessions. So when I say in depth, say for example, the inner loop, which is the test and debug, the Kubernetes dev cluster. There is a bridge, the Kubernetes bridge, you can use, right? So with the Kubernetes production cluster. So we will see that. We will see a hands-on demo of that. We will understand containers. That is what next session is, where we are going to talk about end-to-end of Docker, container images, container registry, containers in cloud, and everything. And then there is build and release pipeline, building how to build a value stream mapping, how to build pipelines, how to build CI, where to use CI, whether developer workflow CI or it is something which we have to use it in different places. So basically, we'll try and debug all these things from Azure DevOps perspective, from GitHub Actions perspective. We will see all those different areas. And then there is Terraform and Kubernetes is main thing, right? So Kubernetes is again, we need to understand the Kubernetes end to end, and Terraform to build those Kubernetes infrastructure as a code, and packaging management using Helm charts and other things. From Kubernetes perspective, we will see how to set it up in production. It's not like we'll see ingress controllers, sidecar architectures, and deployments, different kinds of deployments. And then there is policies, which we will cover those policies, not just from Azure policies, from the execution of the release policies and other things, which is there for Kubernetes. And then there is monitoring, which is very important from building a production environment, right? So we will see Prometheus, we will see Azure monitoring, we will see Elastic logging, Elastic Stack from a logging perspective. We will see how to use Grafana dashboard integrated with all of these stuff. So it's all deep dive sessions in next few sessions of Azure Happy Hour. And then we will also have some panel discussions and other things, which I'll be inviting a couple of amazing set of people where you can ask questions to the community as well, or community leaders as well. And I have documented everything in my GitHub repo. Whatever I am covering is documented, so you can just go through those and subscribe to those set of sessions which is required for you. So yes, I'm going to. There's a question from Prakar that communication between multiple containers as well. Yes, I'm going to cover that networking and how to build bridge and also from a Kubernetes perspective, how do pods and pods we can connect and other things. Yes, I'll cover all those things. And we will go deep dive. So those are sessions which are 2-hour sessions. So it will be completely hands-on, no slides like this, no slide. I'm not a big fan of slides. So we'll focus on just the sessions, just hands-ons, nothing else. And I've documented it. Just go through this GitHub repo. I will be adding code samples there. I'll be adding a rest of the whatever things which are coming in from the content, from the reference documentations, the tutorials and other things. Everything will be added there. So please do go through that. That will be helpful. And so today's session, basically, I know there is so many workflows we have, and then Kubernetes, and then production containers and everything. The most important thing today I wanted to cover is DevOps. I'm not covering CI or CD and what it is and other things. Today, I want to cover DevOps and just understand what is DevOps today, and we will build on top of that and go in depth with the rest of the things from the next session. So I just want to share my experience with respect to what I did in a startup. Right, I just walked into a startup, and you have 15 developers or 16 developers in the room, and it's a small startup at that time. They were making a lot of revenue. It was growing pretty fast, and the development team had to catch up with the pace they were growing at. And 15 developers, they are sitting, and I just went in, my day one. 15-20 minutes of me joining. Luckily, since it's a startup, there is no induction program or anything. You directly into the job. So when you go into that kind of environment, right? So what you see is within 45 minutes or 30 minutes of me going into the room, the production went down, and suddenly everybody panicked. All developers panicked. They just jumped in, and they were all sitting in front of in front of the person who is fixing it, and they're all sitting together and trying and fixing it. So I just asked him, like, what are you trying to do, and which is this machine, which machine you are trying to use? And he was like, I'm pushing code to production. Like from GitHub? No, I'm just writing the code there. So I'm just fixing the code in the production. So that's where everything started. So I was like, developer is accessing the production and fixing the code in the production, and they had no process. They had only one production environment, and I unearthed so many problems after talking to everyone. Within a week, there was n number of problems. I've listed a couple of them here, but there is much more problems which was listed out there. And right? So there is products team. They always come and push you to come and push the code right away. So the developer used to push it to the production. If it is some new feature, they used to push it. There is no GitHub strategy, which branch they should be using for feature, which branch they should be using for this thing. There was no strategy there. So there were so many things. It was maturity wise, DevOps maturity wise, it was zero. Right? So seeing all this right now, if you have to define a DevOps for this, and we will see how I effectively converted this into a into a making sure that we are going down 99 sorry, we are going down every 30 minutes. I don't even know what is the percentage of that, but bringing up the production to 99.9% uptime was the most difficult job I've ever done, right? So the effectiveness of this specific problem, like how we can solve this problem, was seen through what is DevOps, right? So understanding what is DevOps is very important, and everybody talks about this. It's people, process, and products, and the most important thing is for the end user, how you provide the quality and making sure that the code is quality code which is going to the end user, and you're using all the automations to make sure that it is going through, right? This is what the definition of DevOps is. And if you notice that it is people, process, and product, and how did I use this definition is in a way I just want to call out as identifying which one is a culture issue, identifying which one requires tools, identifying which one requires people to follow, is the way to go back and drive these DevOps, right? So most importantly for us, we have to go back and tell the products team that not everything is important to go into the production. So you can push it to the pre-production. So we can build a pre-production environment. We can build a different type of environment where you can test your new product which is coming in, or if there is if there is accessing production access to all the developers. I became devil's advocate, right? I removed access to the developers, and obviously developers will not be happy if they have been removed out of the production where they had all the access, they had all the leverage. Removing that access to them is a cultural issue, right? It's not it's not just the uh, it's not just the tool issue. It's also making sure that there is a culture we need to build. So if you see the problems I faced, where communication, where leadership issues, have to handle the leaders, because product team is head by someone. So handling those leaders and get a backing of the CTOs and going back and doing all this stuff, and making sure that code review, again, code review requires people to do the, to own the owner and own it, right? They have to own this while they did the code reviews. Even though there are tools for code reviews, to implement that, it will take time. So when you enable that code review as a process, from a tool perspective, from a GitHub, you can enable that as a something after code review on the, I can push this code, I can merge this code and other things. So when you do that, still, there is a people involved where they have to be responsible. They have to take that responsibility and do it. And bringing that responsibility, communicating that responsibility to developers is what DevOps is. So the reason why I'm covering this as the first session is because, we saw this diagram. There are tools which will solve the problems, but there is people involved, there is culture involved, and whatever tools I'm going to teach you after this session, which is in the next few sessions, which is 7 more sessions, which is there, those are all tools. Those are all services and things which we can use it to build a proper workflows to make sure that everything is automated and we are solving problems through automation. But there is certain process and culture which needs to be brought in, which is almost 40 to 50% of DevOps. So you need to understand those areas as well if you want to be a DevOps engineer. If you are already a DevOps engineer and you are focusing more on tools, you should also focus on understanding the product, understanding the why products team is telling us to release something, why marketing team is talking about, we need to make sure that this release goes in or not. You need to understand everything, and to show an authority of telling the management that, hey, this cannot be released as of now. You need to know the background of all these things, and you can stop the releases or you can process the release. Again, the release strategy is dependent on different company to companies. So DevOps, if I'm done a DevOps for the enterprise, different set of release structure. For example, we were releasing it to pre-production only, and I had no authority to release the code to production. And to release the code to production, the client had the control, and I had no control. I was not even given the access to their production. So I had only access till pre-production, and I can play around. I can build the code and everything till the pre-production, right? So this is something very important in terms of understanding the execution, right? So when you come back to the startup, there there is no control. It's going from one environment to another environment, and it reaches the production. Of course, we had control, like pushing the code from one environment to another environment, but that is continuous delivery. When it comes to continuous deployment, there are certain companies which uses continuous delivery as a continuous deployment as a strategy. So when it comes to continuous deployment as a strategy, the code is going from one environment to another environment, and then just directly to the production without any control. Nobody is even pushing it. It's direct. When developer just pushes the code and code is going through automations and then reaches the production and it's there. So there are different strategies and it cannot be followed in all the cases. So you need to understand that as well. So if somebody is talking about certain strategy for doing DevOps, it was because in that specific company, in that specific cultural structure, that was the strategy was used. And for your company, for your startups, for your workflows, you need to have a different set of strategy based on your requirements. So that is the main crux. So I just wanted to make sure that this session we understand that, and we understand it's not just about tooling, it's also about it's also about other things, which is there are different set of people like product teams, there is QA team, there is dev team, there is operations team. So all of these teams need to have similar kind of mindset, similar kind of structures, different, should not have different kind of processes for code releases. So very much controlled and very much documented releases. So we have seen what is DevOps and how effective it is, and when you divide the problem into different things. So as I told you, right, if you take the products team pushing developers to push the code, it's a culture issue and it's a people issue. There is nothing to do with tool. So you have to go back and tell them to plan their problem and plan their execution, plan their the way they want to release, and give the dates for the releases, and understand the have you done the testing, have you checked them, have you checked it in pre-production, and is everything okay? Then we can release it to the production. So it is it is one of the strategy which we used, but there is, as I told you, there could be different strategies where you don't need to do all these things. There is automation already done and it directly goes into production. So I don't know how many of you have seen this movie, 12 Angry Men movie, which is about there are 12 people in a room, and all of them have to agree on something, and one person is disagreeing and rest 11 are agreeing to the same thing, and you have to be the 12th man, where you have to get up and say, hey, I don't agree that we should be releasing this version, and have to wait for the testing to be completed, and then we have to make sure that the pre-production is up and running and there is no issues, and then we can release it to the production, right? So you have to convince rest of them, rest 11 of them, to be on your side. So this is one of the amazing movie. If you have not seen, just see this movie on how to influence, how to work with people, and how to make sure that how do you communicate things to people. Very interesting, and these are a couple of things which you need to do. If you are aspiring to be a DevOps engineer, and if you are already a DevOps engineer, you will be doing this, but you don't know that you are doing this. But this is something which you will be more interested in. And as Peter Drucker said, right, culture is strategy for breakfast. So that means, even if we have two organizations with same set of strategies, they are building same tools, same things, and if they don't have the culture, if there is no culture built in, they will never be able to execute DevOps. And this is definitely a something which I've seen over years. I've seen a lot of startups when I was at DigitalOcean, I met a lot of startups. I met a lot of startups from DevOps perspective. They had so many DevOps questions. They were all facing the similar problems, which I noted. They did not have GitHub strategies. They did not had strategy for release strategies. They were working on main branches, master branches. There was no feature branch. There was no feature environments. There were so many things which were missing from to become a fully DevOps matured company. right? So that is something very important. It has to be coming, the culture has to be built within the team, not just within the DevOps team, within the whole org, starting from the products team to engineering team to probably even, even the other teams should know how this whole thing happens, and they have to also understand and work with the DevOps um, and the developer teams and the products teams. So given that, you're not able to um, see the screen. I saw some message zoom the screen. So which part you want to zoom the screen for, Amol? Okay, this one. Sorry if I'm seeing this side. It is the other system where I have the chat open. Okay, so I just want to call out the capabilities. Don't worry on the whole thing. It's more of there are so many things, right? DevOps capability and practices. You can build so many things into it, and you can see continuous planning is there. These are all pillars of DevOps. There's continuous planning, there's continuous integrations, there's delivery, continuous operations, continuous quality, security, collaborations, and improvements, right? And if you see this, uh, you can do a lot of stuff: release planning, agile requirements, integrations wise. There are so many things. You can build test-driven development within your unit test and your code coverages, everything. The moment the code is, the developer pushes the code, the moment that happens, there's, you can see the continuous integrations happening, right? So those are the areas. And delivery, again, continuous delivery and continuous deployment, these are two different things, right? And deployment is, it's just pushing the code directly to the production. So that is one more thing. And the continuous delivery, again, release pipelines, building the pipeline right, value stream mapping, and which is there, and infrastructure as a code as part of it. And again, the way you want to deploy, canary deployments, blue-green deployments, which I talked about, and then operations, which is there, right? So there are a lot of things which is covered in the operations part of it. Um, and then quality and security. Security is again DevSecOps, which is been coming, and compliance and audit, which is again, those are also being automated nowadays, and it's getting into the pipelines. And then there is collaborations, chat ops and other things. We're going to talk about how to build chat ops and other things in couple of sessions, and which we have planned. And then there is obviously continuous improvement, how to get the feedback, which is the most important thing, right? In a DevOps, you have to get the feedback of the code. Somebody pushes the code, it goes to the production with all the automations involved, by testing, by automated testings, automated things, and it goes to the production. And when it goes to the production, how to get back that code, and I'll get back the feedback, from the customer, and then fix the code fast, and so that take that feedback and go back to the customer and say, hey, we have fixed this problem. So, and also very important thing is value stream mapping. What is value stream mapping? It's basically, if there is some failure happening at the customer end, how do you trace back the code to the developer, and how do you do that? And that value stream mapping, that mapping is called as value stream mapping, and that is very important part of DevOps. You need to understand that, and we will see that as well when we do the session on Azure DevOps and GitHub Actions and other things. But definitely we will go and check all those things. Um, you know, Coming back to the series itself, if you're able to see the screen, right? I'll zoom in because probably this is the one Amol is mentioning that he's not able to see. Um, okay, so coming back to the series, you know, Most important thing is we will cover most of these things with respect to um, the all the things which is there. So we will definitely cover. This is a GitHub repo where I've mentioned all the things. I'll share the GitHub repo link. Just give me a minute. Okay. So I'll make sure I'll cover all these stuff um, within those time frame which I have allocated to this. And please go through the books. I have a couple of books which is enabled, which is like the the Phoenix projects and the continuous is humble. He's amazing. The book, both of them are amazing books. If you find time, just go through it. It has a how exactly you have to build DevOps and other things. While you know, a couple of things, I just want to make sure before I go into other things, if people have any questions, just ask me those questions. I'll just unmute everyone so that you can unmute yourself and ask me questions today. Mics. Yeah, I've unmuted everyone. So if you have any questions, do ask me those questions while this is this session is more about understanding the DevOps. I definitely don't want to go in depth into the CI and other things and other things which will confuse people. When I'm doing those sessions, I will definitely go into those important stuff. But if you have any questions, please do ask me those questions. I've unmuted everyone. Until now, I discussed a couple of things, so I just wanted to make sure. Yep. Somebody.
Vivek, hi, good evening.
Yeah.
How long does it take to set up an DevOps environment in a new organization? So, if a company is starting with a DevOps practice, so how long does it take to set up that environment, and how many people are required?
That's a good question. So it depends on the requirement and uh, how you're scaling your application. So if it is growing pretty fast, let me tell you the experience from my experience. So we were growing pretty fast with somewhere around almost 50K hits, which was happening to our production, and since it was happening and we were sending a lot of OTPs, we were sending a lot of emails to the customer, lot of things which were happening at the background. So we needed to set up the whole new production environment from the one production environment which we had in the startup, and we set up the completely new production environment with all the things. Um, so it took somewhere around moving all these. So if you see my day one, what I had experienced, putting a process around this, putting a plan around this, and making sure that it is 99.9% uptime. It took somewhere around 2 months time. That is answers. So couple of tools I used while doing this. Those are not the tools you would use if you attend some DevOps sessions, right? They will say you use this tool, those tools. I was using bash scripts, and I was using the Linux heavy Linux commands because bash scripting is the fastest way. And log management, again, we asked the developers to start adding logs, enable the issues in the logs, start pushing the logs, and do a bash scripting, do a cron job on those logs, and identify the problems and send an email for those problems. Everything was done through bash scripting, and we use some tools like ThoughtWorks Go CD to build the Jenkins, sorry, not the Jenkins, to build the CI/CD pipelines. build a new environment from the production, not just production, the developer environment, the feature environment, other things. We build the Ansible scripts framework while we were doing the manual building of these environments, right? So we build the environments through using these Ansible scripts. Um, Obviously, it took somewhere around 2 months for us to make sure that production was not falling down. It was always up and running, and at least we the most important thing, right? I didn't go there specifically because that's my second part of the discussion, is that how fast you can bring up your productions. That's the mean time to restore, right? This is something which you need to keep testing. That bringing down your some production or a pre-production or a dummy environment down, and see how you can bring it up back if everything fails. So where and all there is changes happen, where and all things have gone wrong, and where you don't have an automation, where you don't. Those gives you a lot of gap, and that gives you understanding of your automation, in fact. So I used to do that in the enterprise. We in HCL once, when I just like to share that story. Um, you know, we had told the client that we can bring up production, specifically a couple of things, very important services within this time frame. And when really the production went down, and when they asked us to restore back, it took double the time. The reason is we didn't calculated the size of the data which was increasing. We just went ahead and we calculated we're going to restore it anyways. This is getting restored in this time. We can add 15 more minutes and we will be able to restore it. But the data has increased over time, right? From last 3 months, data increases because of a lot of data project which we were dealing with, and the data increased, and restoring of that also increased. Time to restore also increases. So you have to keep those things in mind, and keep yourself testing your pre-production or some other environment which you have built through. That is the reason why automation is very important. Building through Ansible and all those things, building that, spinning up your complete environment and bringing it down is what makes you a very effective DevOps. And it definitely took 2 months for sure for us to do it. It will take some time because you need to understand the scale, the everything, but you can definitely manage the production. Obviously, it is a continuous process. You might need 3 people or 3 to 4 people. 3 people will be enough to make sure that production is uptime is 99.9% for a startup. Obviously, going forward, you will add more and more automations to that cycle. And once you add that automations to the cycle, it becomes easier.
Yeah. Thanks, Vivek. Thanks, Vivek.
Any more questions? There were some questions, is it, in the chat?
Hi, Vivek. So my question is, so for non-distributed system which are not built on the microservices pattern. So let's say a monolith application which is not scaled at large level. So setting up this and where the deployments are not quite frequent. So setting up this DevOps from scratch will be an overkill, or do we see any value in setting this up from scratch again for these applications? And my second question is how the complexity of DevOps increases with large scale applications with several microservices in different environments and frequent deployments.
Yes. So monolithic, let me break down the question. So you have the monolithic application, you have not frequent deployment. You don't have that strategy. Yes, DevOps really helps you. If you see the enterprise work which I was doing as well, we used to release to pre-production only, and production release was obviously delayed, and it was almost 1 month in a month, or maximum they used to do it once in 45 days or something. But pre-production, until pre-production, the code was going and sitting in the pre-production, and we have thoroughly tested the pre-production, the integrations, the system integrations, because in the enterprise there are various environments, dev environment, QA environment, system integration environment, and then it goes to pre-production, then production. Not in startups. Startups is there might be one or two middle environments. That's it. But in an enterprise, you have all these environments. Again, having a DevOps process there. The CI process is very simple. The CD process is simple. You can build those. You have the time leverage, so you can easily build all those automations, build all the test automations and everything. So it makes your life easier. That's the one. That's the one advantage of having it. It's not a overkill for sure. That is my view of that. And the second part of the question is the microservices which you have. With how does it increase the complexity? The complexity will not increase, maybe the manageability increases, because you will have different microservices. You might have 10 to 15 microservices. You will have different workflows for them. You will have different, but it is pretty easier nowadays, with GitHub Actions, which is out there, with different tools like Azure Devops and integrations of all those things. It makes lives easier, and also the failure in production and in pre-production is reduced. So if you see a couple of capabilities and practices perspective, right? If you see this, DevOps reduces the failure rate for you, right? And having a microservice architecture, having a microservice strategy, it actually reduces the your failure rate for sure, and it makes your production always up. For simple example, you have Flipkart. If the product, what we call the review is not working, which could be a microservice for them. If that is not working, or if something has failed in the code which has gone in there, but still the user is able to buy stuff from the flipkart.com, makes it easier to use for the user perspective, right? So definitely it will not affect, but it will take some time from the manageability perspective. So there are tools which has come in, like the distributed tracing and other things which is there. You can trace the failures. You can trace which service interactions which is failing. We will see that in one of the sessions. I will be covering tracing as well, I believe, which is here. I will try and cover, since I'm covering Azure monitoring in deep dive, I'll be covering tracing as well. If you see distributed tracing, I'll definitely will be covering that as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Hello.
Thanks. Yeah.
Actually, I have two questions. One thing is when we are thinking about DevOps, so it's more about a branching strategy. When we are handling, there could be multiple branches. There are some branches in our enterprise culture. You have some branch which your product, you are finalizing some release. Then you have to take security approvals, and thousands of approvals are there. Then you have to release it. And sometimes if there are microservices, there are a lot of things. Some suggestions how to optimize the branching thing. This is the first question, and I have one more question. And
Okay.
second question is, when we are talking about DevOps, there are a lot of tools, and in a company, if we are promoting some tool, or we are some in the culture we are introducing some tool, it's going to be for a long time. You cannot just change it, or it's not easy to introduce those things. So how to work on those things?
That is the exact reason why I wanted to do this session, because that is itself is the 30 to 40% of DevOps. So there is no tool for that. You have to go and convince people. You have to talk to people and show them the value of DevOps. For sure, and talk to them and make sure you change their mindset and the culture within the org. Coming to your first question, branching strategies. There are various branching strategies. If you go and search for it, there is different kinds of branching strategies. A couple of strategies I've used is to make sure that putting that branch, there is a feature branch, there is a master branch, which is the release branch for me, and then there is CI branch. I was playing with only very less branches, and I was making sure that developers are merging code. They are merging code to this, and they are doing the code reviews, and then there is a merge happening. And when they merge once into the feature branch and once into the release branch, the code used to, the strategy was to get the code to the production every day, to make sure we have tested and other things, which is again pre-production QA environment. We're all there for testing and then release production. So we were making sure that we release the code to the production every day, and the reason for that is less code, less impact, and which is that code which is going into production. You know who is developing as well, and who is the developer as well, and you know what changes they made and why they made these changes as well, because of the daily interactions you are having with the products team, the interactions which you are having with the rest of the other teams. So it's easier to go back to them and get the fixes done if there is an issue is found. So play with as much as less uh, branches, specifically if you're managing the releases and DevOps. So it becomes like DevOps and SRE both combined. It's the one coin, two sides. If you're doing that, you hold those branches and make sure that you take care of those branches. You are the person who is merging into that branch, not anyone else.
Thanks.
Okay, before someone asks them, say there are so many questions in the chat, so I'll just address those things and I'll just come back. What you will be able to send document link which you are referring to? I don't know what that means, Abhi. You mean to say the GitHub link? It is there at the above. I've actually added that. What you will guide for beginners. This is the guidance which I'm giving for the beginners. Uh, this is where you need to understand the 40% of the DevOps. If you want to become an expert in DevOps, 40% is all about understanding the product, talking to the your products team, talking to engineering team, developers, understanding marketing teams, why they are doing these activities with the products team, and understanding the whole product, how it runs and everything. This is 40% of DevOps, and rest is which I'm going to teach you in rest of this Azure Happy Hour sessions from starting from next week, which is very specific to tools. Those are tools, but this is something which is very important, as someone mentioned as well. Uh, how do you change the mindset and other things? Those are the areas where you will have to work as well. There is no guidance for that. There is no other ways to that. It's like you have to build those skills in communicating. So, and also being sometimes you being doing that authority kind of a work. To do that, you need to have that knowledge. To do the authority, to go and tell people how to do it, you need to have that authority to go and tell people that this is how you have to do it, right? So that's something which is there. Basic knowledge of for Azure Cloud Service is sufficient for covering the series. I have included one of the thing here, very specific to the Azure fundamentals for DevOps engineers. I'll be covering all things which is required for a DevOps engineer, from networking perspective, all the things which is required, front door and everything, which is whichever services we have, databases, um, compute services, container instance, everything I'm going to cover. So that I'm going to cover anyways. It took 3 to 4 weeks for all the DevSecOps tools set up with all the open source tools and secured pipelines. That's great. This is good. But how many people were there in the team? Santosh, that will be a good one too as well. Me being a build and release engineer, what all areas should I concentrate to be a successful DevOps guy? So these are the things which we are anyways discussing. And I'm sure these sessions will obviously help you to be a really good DevOps engineer, and go through those books which I have mentioned. For sure, there are a lot of things to learn in those books. These two books. That's a big question. There is a misconception in the industry. DevOps is not just build and release. It's much more than that. Build and release are just one part of it. From build and release perspective, infrastructure as a code, build as a code, release as a code. How soon can you cover from failure? How can you make sure your build pipeline is secure? Release pipeline is secure. How to make sure your artifacts are not tampered? This is a very good question. It's kind of um, you know it's a continuous process. It's DevOps is definitely a continuous process. It will keep updating, it will keep growing, and you keep doing stuff, and you cannot stop it, right? It's like it's a continuous process. That is why it is always called continuous integrations, continuous delivery, continuous operations. So that keeps happening. That you cannot change. So okay. Anyways, I was just reading through that, and anyways, I gave them an answer. Yes, it's a big picture. Obviously, thanks for answering, Lloyd. Any questions? Any more questions before I?
Hey, Vivek, this is Ajit here.
Yeah.
I got a question. So from a software architect point of view, how much knowledge he or she should have on DevOps?
Okay. So you definitely need to say. I don't say you need to the tools. You need to have a hands-on experience on all the tools as an architect, especially from a software architect perspective. But um, you definitely need to understand which tools to use in which areas, right? And which tool is best. So if I ask you, right, if do you want to use a Jenkins versus a complete delivery tool? Want to use Obviously you can do delivery through Jenkins as well, continuous integrations and delivery through Jenkins as well. But the continuous delivery tools gives you value stream mapping and various other things like which out of the box, and a lot of other thing capabilities, integrations with different clouds and other things which is already there. How do you choose between these two things, and which tools choose, what needs to be done, how to build that GitHub repo strategies and other things, is it's kind of like you don't have to know the hands-on perspective of it, but you need to understand the tools. You need to understand the whole whole picture, the big picture which Lloyd mentioned, right? It's a very big picture, in fact. So you definitely need to understand that whole thing.
Okay, thank you. So continue to
Vivek.
that question, Vivek. Sorry. So just like as a architect, I mean, it's like just knowing these tools, or you have to involve in the DevOps process as well to build the pipelines and all those things. Is it
If
comes? Does it become the duty of the architects, or it's something different set of people who should do all those things?
there are definitely different people, DevOps engineers and SRE engineers, but you getting involved with them and understanding the process, giving them direction in terms of process, will definitely be helpful for you, because it's easier to go back to your team and give them guidance in terms of how they should be coding, because there are certain things which is on the developer side, like the unit testing, code coverage, code reviews, and all those things are on the developer side, more on developer side than the DevOps engineer side. They can enable the tools for you, but somehow you have to, you have to go back and drive those culture within your team. So you have to work with them, but there will be definitely dedicated people within your organization who should be doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Vivek. Prakhar here. Vivek, I just need to know, in these sessions, are you going to tell us about how we can do the YAML and Helm installation?
Yes. So I will be covering. So it's a 2 hour session. So I'll try and cover almost everything there. There are a couple of things which hands-on we might not cover. What I'll be doing is if I'm not able to cover a couple of them, I'm going to add them into this add recordings of those things in the GitHub repos, and also all the related activities which we can provide here. I will add it into this repo itself, so that anybody who is looking for those content or understand those content can definitely come here and see. I'll definitely try and cover Helm. I'll try and cover the Kubernetes as a whole itself, from how to build the namespaces and even the network and policies, debugging. The most important thing is on the 26th November, basically, I'm going to combine everything and whatever we have learned, and from a production perspective, how to land it in the production. So that is something which I'll cover. So this whole architecture, which we saw, this whole workflow which we saw, we will do it from one by one, and execute that, while on 26th November we'll have everything covered in that, from Helm chart to everything.
Okay. And another thing is, as I asked you, that the communication between pods and the Kubernetes and Docker, multiple Dockers, we are covering the DMAP, or is it the Kafka or some other one?
No, not the Kafka and anything. So it is from the containers perspective only. We will cover. If you want me to cover different things, just post it on the chat. I will take that up and do it.
Okay, sure. And just the last question. Suppose in case we miss out the session to obviously office hours, so is those recording will be helpful to proceed further and catch back in the next session? Is that much is enough, or we have to work on something else?
So the way I have planned the sessions these are all independent sessions. So if you see, Docker is an independent session. This is an independent session. Fundamental is an independent session. You can go back and obviously see the recordings. I will be adding the recordings here. I'll be adding the code samples and everything. The 26th is where I'm going to combine everything and make sure that you can actually see the whole flow, bringing in container insights, bringing in Terraform into it, and how to do it. So I'm going to cover everything in one shot, but these are all independent sessions. So if you even miss one, you can attend the other one, but you can also go back and see these recordings, and code samples also. I'll be posting it here, so you will have it, code samples as well.
Okay, thank you.
So there is DevOps is a mess. There is practice of the application, so I would hand over knowledge is very much required. Yes, still incorrect. That is true. Which is correct. Please add a Kafka DMAP. Got it. And any other questions? While we are waiting for the questions, let me post a couple of things. So do the event check-in, you will get the content and the GitHub repo as well. So when you do the event check-in, you'll get the GitHub repo. So here is the event check-in link. So do check in. Is there any other questions? You can just unmute and ask questions while I, uh, you know, post about these things. Do join in for next session because it's going to be next week for next Azure Happy Hour. So let me continue with a couple of things. So if there is no more questions, let me go back to this because I just wanted to cover one specific thing.
One question.
Yeah, sure.
This is Rubashish here. So as part of this one, are you going to cover Azure Devops as well, like the specific Azure Devops?
Yes. So we will cover GitHub Actions, GitHub GitHub Actions and Azure DevOps on 22nd October. It's more of how to build CI/CD, and we will see how exactly it is to be done. CI perspective, what are the different strategies for CI, and all those things, and then we will use both Azure DevOps and GitHub Actions to deploy it on Kubernetes. And obviously, we will, I have a couple of things planned as well, like what is, GitOps, what is ChatOps, which are growing, right? ChatOps is such an important factor. GitHub uses ChatOps for almost everything they do. So we should always learn and discuss about it as well. It's pretty interesting as well. So I'll cover most of those things here.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, Azure DevOps as well. And by the way, just for everyone is here, I've also created learn modules as well. You can, take these learn modules and, obviously I've covered everything in those 9 learn modules. How to go about it is just register and you will get the access to all the learn modules, which is part of that cloud skill challenge. And you can take your own time and go through those learn modules. You will have sandboxes given to you. You can go through each and every sandboxes, all the exercises, all the questions, quizzes, and other things to learn. So I've handpicked some 10 learn modules. Just the introduction to Kubernetes, introduction to containers, everything, all those learn modules are there, and a lot of advanced learn modules as well. I've combined that for this specific series, which covers almost everything which is here. And a couple of things which is not here, like Terraform and other things might not be there, but containers is there, Azure DevOps is there, Kubernetes is there, and monitoring services definitely, as a learn modules has been allocated there. Just go through those cloud skill challenge. I've just posted that link. Just make sure you go through in your own time. I've given enough time there till November, so each person can spend their own time while learning it. When I say cloud skill challenge, it's not something like a challenge or you win something or anything. It's basically, these learn modules have been, segregated. There are many learn modules. There are 1,300 learn modules on Microsoft Learn, and I have picked a couple of learn modules which is very specific to these session which we are doing, and so that you can go and play around with the sandboxes which is there, and also some exercises, and you can complete those learn modules in your own time. And if you see the time of those learn modules as well, which I've picked, it is not more than an hour or something. It's all 30 minutes, 40 minutes kind of a session, a kind of learn modules. So you can easily complete those learn modules. If you just sit on a weekend or a Friday evening, you will be able to complete those cloud skill challenges. Any more questions? Any questions? Any more questions? No? Do go through this cloud skill challenge. It's pretty interesting. So just a couple of things which I just want to so why is DevOps important? We already know that now, so we don't have to discuss that much. It's more about increasing your developer velocity. It's about reducing the downtime and also, reduce the human error. It's more of automating stuff and making sure that your downtime is reduced. That is how we reduce. In fact, I usually use bash scripts and other things, and the ThoughtWorks Go CD pipelines and various other things to solve that using Ansible and other things to make sure that we reduce the downtime. So this is how it is. And we did speak about this. You need to have, while building the strategy, you need to have these things in balance. There is, deployment frequency. It depends on you. It depends on the company, how to build that deployment frequency and how to build that lead time. And obviously, mean time to restore is something which you need to check. We did discuss about change failure rate, which is very much important from the production perspective. So DevOps reduces the failure rates when you build a lot of automations, and you can obviously see all the failures before it goes into the production. That is one of the, and Kubernetes as a given tool, it gives you a lot of flexibility. In fact, the way it does the deployments and other things, it does a lot of things to track. So somebody had asked me about this OneNote. Obviously, I cannot share this OneNote though. What I'll do is anyways, I'll make sure that all these informations are fed into my the GitHub repo, which is there. There is a question: what is the programming language is required to learn DevOps? So so there is you know you need to have developer mindset as well when you're building DevOps as a capability. There's no specific programming language at all. It all depends on different programming languages being used by the company, because for example, if your company is using Java, you need to understand how to do the Maven, how to use the Gradle to build something, and how do you put it as an artifact and push that artifact into the right set of places and make it secure and all those things. So you need to understand how to write the POM file and all those things. And different programming languages have different package mechanisms and other things. And given the containers, I think this is something which you need to know. Containers is something which you need to know. So that is the reason why I'm doing the next session more from the container specific perspective. Let us see how it works, and then packaging it is, again, we are trying to use the Helm charts and other things, so that will also give you an overview. So I think that there's no specific language, by the way. So bash scripting probably, bash and Linux, obviously. Linux and bash scripting is something which you need to know for debugging purposes. Any more questions? Yes, as Lloyd said, right? See, YAML is a scripting again. Yeah, so it's even Ansible. If you say, it's Python and it's scripting, and it is even Terraform is also a scripting, but it is more of structuring than a code. So not the programming language, not the compiled language, but it's obviously a scripting. So as I told you, any kind of scripting like bash scripting, the YAML scripting, and all those things are definitely important from a DevOps engineer perspective, for sure, as Lolit mentioned. Any other question? So I hope everybody has joined the LinkedIn group as well. We will keep you posted on various things which we are doing, and let's do that way. And what is this? So do the event check-in, and any more questions we have? Else we can enjoy our Friday evening. Truly a happy hours. Looks like there is no more questions. Okay, we can close the session, and we will see all of you in the next session, next few sessions, which is there. Do join in Azure Happy Hours. It's an ongoing process. Azure Happy Hours is every Friday, so do come in, and we will definitely take this, take every Friday sessions, and do watch out for Twitter Spaces, which I'm going to host on Twitter. I'm going to invite a couple of amazing set of people to the Twitter space, which I'm going to host. It will be a very different kind of discussions, like the discussions which we are having now. For each of these sessions, I will try and do a Twitter space with an expert. I'm going to invite GitHub team, GitHub experts. I'm going to invite the rest of the other people. People who are working with Kubernetes and DevOps and other things. It will be an amazing thing. So do watch out for that as well. So it's kind of learning, it's kind of discussion, not something hands-on or something. It's more of discussion. So it will be nice if you know about Twitter Spaces. That's what it is. If you have any questions, do let me know, or else we can break for the evening. And thank you for joining Azure Happy Hours. We will catch up in the next session for sure.
Thank you.